Hi everyone, I just thought I'd give you an overview of what some of the registered users get to see on the site. Registration is completely free, so these are free. Uh, it's a free access to the site. There's no payment details required, but if you're a registered user, you get to see some of the stuff across the top here that gives you a bit more insight into the overall market and what might be happening, that might be coming up, that might impact direction and things. So the first one to look at is insiders. Insiders, just gives you a bit of a description up here as to, why, looking at insider transactions might be useful. And, these are typically people who hold major positions within the company. And, these are the people who, I guess, have access to insights that, we don't get as external, um, you know, I guess, people or investors. Insiders obviously, get to, have an idea of what sales might be in the pipeline before it's released to the market, or, what deals might be about to close before it's released to the market. Technically insiders are, or, the companies are meant to disclose all this information, but it can sometimes give you a little bit of a sneak peek as to, the sentiment amongst, people like the CEO, the vice president, directors, they buying or selling, A for acquisition. So, that can sometimes be a good sign. There's a whole bunch of reasons, of course, why people may or may, why that people might buy and why they might sell. But it does give you a little bit of a insight into, what's going on. PwSC, when the CTO and the CFO and the CEO are all selling, that might be something that I'd want to know a little bit more about. And so, you can then open up the link here. It'll give you the SEC filing, and then that will give you a bit more information about why the company may or may not be selling. And so again, you can just sort of see here there's a whole bunch of stuff over the last couple of days of this month. We try not to make it too long, but it's just to give you that little snapshot, and might be of interest some of these particular companies to research a bit further and see what might be happening, especially if you hold one of them. The next one to look at is IPOs, and so IPOs is all the companies that are listing, or about to list or have just listed. We tend to go back a month and forward a month, or forward. I think we go back 1 month and forward 3 months, just to try and let you know who's recently listed. So this one here was the 22nd of the 8th, and then you can have a look at the ones that are coming up to a listing. So 12th of the 9th has already passed. 25th of the 9th, 2nd of the 10th. And so we try and give you an idea of, what's coming up, just to, if it's something that, sparks your interest and you want to find out a bit more about it. Some of them we have data on, and some of them we don't, but, you can always fix that with a Google search to, try and find out more information about them. The next one that we can look at is earnings. And so again, this is just when companies are coming up to an earnings report. Earnings and stocks can, you know, add quite a lot of volatility to a company. If the news is, it doesn't actually matter if the news is good or bad. Sometimes the news can be brilliant, and because it doesn't quite meet expectations, the company goes backwards. And sometimes you can have really bad news, and the bad news isn't quite as bad as what the market expected, and so the company can go up. But it's always good to know when earnings are about to be reported, and try and get a little bit more information around what that direction might be, just so you can be aware again, especially if you hold these particular stocks. You want to be able to look at them as they come out, just to make sure that your position is not going to be impacted too badly. Splits is also interesting. Sometimes you might have a company like Tesla who's trading up around the $1,000 mark, and they do a split, which they might come back down to $250 ish, which has happened in the past. And then everyone thinks, well, geez, this was $1,000 stock, it's now only $250. I might buy into that. Now that it's more affordable. The value technically hasn't actually changed. It's just that psychological price, is all of a sudden a bit more affordable in people's eyes. So, you get to see through here, which companies are, doing stock splits, or, perhaps even consolidating some of their shares, just to, I guess, have fewer out there. Again, there's a whole bunch of reasons for doing stock splits, but, again, it's also something that's of interest, and, can have a good impact on the price, depending which way it splits. Might make expensive stocks all of a sudden have that perception of affordability. So, something just to keep an eye on, just for interest. Events. So these are sort of major, economic events that happen. Again, can have a big impact on the overall market. Anytime the Fed comes out and talks about interest rates or whatever else is happening in the market, it's always interesting times. So again, this is just a whole bunch of industries reporting, and what when they're reporting, and whether that has an impact on the market or not, depending on what you're invested in, is up to you. Trading hours is just very general information, so that just tells you when the market's open, what day the holidays are. Nothing particularly exciting about that. Just a bit of a heads up about when the markets might be closed. And then you've got symbols, which is kind of interesting because every now and again you'll go looking for a stock and it's just disappeared, and all that's happened is it's changed symbols. It can be interesting to keep an eye on it because often when a stock does change its symbol, then it can be because of a change in its business direction. And so, there was a whole bunch of stocks that, all of a sudden last year, became known for AI or cannabis in the past, and different things, as they were perhaps chasing different bubbles and looking to get a bit more, I guess, exposure for their particular industry or business that they might be in, and try and leverage off that. There's that one little stock called AI, and they do very, very well off having the name AI. With all the interest in the market. There's also been funny cases in the past where people have tried to buy a particular stock, and because they were looking for a particular name of that stock, they often actually buy the stock code that might belong to a different company, not realizing that the stock code is different to the stock name sometimes. So, it does obviously help if a company has a name that is more reflective of the industry that they're in, or the business that they're in, I guess. So anyway, again, just for interest, just tells you what the new symbols are if you want to keep an eye on it. And, again, especially if it's a stock that you've held in the past and all of a sudden can't find it, this is just a, very simple way of, seeing what might have changed recently. And so that's what you get completely for free if you're a registered member on the site. So just a bit more data to give you a bit bigger picture of what's happening in the marketplace. Thank you for listening.